cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into today's episode of the Top Cut Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast. My name is Sunny. I am your host. I'm here with my co-host Caleb.
Hello.
And of course, before we get too far in, we want to thank the patrons. So a huge thank you to Cam Yang. What's next? Teaching the fish to ritual summon? Austin Johnson, Kane Martin, Gate Guardian Support, HGH, Cyber, Josh Rosen, Marshawn Jones, Zyphorus, Eat the Feet, Zephyrus, AD, Anthony Leela, Blackwing, Silverwind, The Ascendant is a Floodgate, Branded Fart, Damien Zink, Dank Nugs, Earth Machine, Best Deck, I am McLincoln, If I'm so cheesy, then I must be all-American, Mountain Man, Oatmeal Spaghetti, Owen Alvarado, Pig, Rubina Go Chirp Chirp, Rudolph, The Hoover Dam is a Floodgate, Tin Dangle D's Nuts, haha, got him. That's... Unbanned number 95, Konami. Understanding and reading are two different things. Virtually Savior's World, Zingis Khan. Aaron Gardner, Appaloosa episode inbound. No. Appaloosa is the one true Floodgate. Also, no. Asami, Demolition Beaver, the Floodgate Destroyer. There we go. Dragon Maidenless Behavior. This one has a Manager of the 10,000 Hands joke. But I think it's just a little bit too far for what I'm willing to say.
A little too spicy.
Yeah. Nordic Best Deck, Old Man Red, pin code 143. Praise be to Mystic Mine, our Lord and Savior. Ray Powell, Shockmaster did nothing wrong. Slaking it up, Stank Taters, and wait, what? There's no way I can legally say that. Thank you all so much for your continued support of the podcast. Of course, if you are interested in our Patreon, be sure to go ahead, check out the link in the description down below. Now, for our quick little sponsorship plugs that we're going to go ahead and get on out of the way real quick, we want to, of course, thank our first sponsor, which is Dragon Shield. Dragon Shield is one of the largest card game and TCG accessory manufacturers in the world. They manufacture sleeves, deck boxes, binders, playmats, and all those wonderful things that you use to protect your shiny cardboard. So, if you are interested in getting yourself some Dragon Shield products, be sure to check them out. We have an affiliate link in the description down below, so it costs you nothing extra to shop for the things you're already shopping for, and it helps you to support the podcast. You can get that awesome hand shuffling feel. Sounds wonderful, and if you are on the live stream that the patrons are currently watching, then you could have seen me do that wonderful hand shuffle. So, also, if you're interested in some really cool Yu-Gi-Oh merch, you can definitely check out Millennium Threads. Millennium Threads is an Etsy shop run by one of our awesome listeners and just an awesome member of the Yu-Gi-Oh community. He started his Etsy shop to do this thing that he loves, which is this custom embroidering of different things. You can get hoodies, you can get bucket hats, all different kinds of things, regular ball caps, t-shirts, whatever. You can also get the patches made where you can iron the patches on, or however you put on the custom embroidered patches. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check out Millennium Threads. The link is in the description down below. Now, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get on into today's episode.
Woo!
So, do you want to start us off today with you want to do some new cards?
Yeah, sure. Well, first, so the past 3 days, including the past 4 days, from when this episode will air, Konami's has been doing this thing with a bunch of YouTubers where they can talk about the stuff coming out in Power of the Elements.
Right.
So Wednesday was Sprite, Spright, that is the TCG name. Tearlaments, which the day before yesterday, so Thursday, which is the TCG name for that. And then Thursday, they did a bunch of... No, Friday. No? I got all my days mixed up. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they did Free Agents.
Okay.
So, which is what we're about to talk about today. Because we've already talked about the Sprites. I don't think we need to review the Sprites or the Tearlaments.
Yeah, and technically I think we have actually talked about all of these cards, but
some of them I don't remember covering.
We're going to review them regardless.
Oh yeah, particularly their TCG names.
Yeah.
So, to start with, we have a new fusion, Garura, Wings of Resonant Life. Level 6 Dark Winged Beast. Fusion effect, 1500 attack, 2400 defense. Fusion materials. 2 monsters with the same type and attribute, but different names. Any battle damage your opponent takes from battles involving this card is doubled. If this card is sent to the graveyard, draw 1 card. You can only use the effect of Garura, Wings of Resident Life once per turn. So my immediate thought was, I wish it was Wind.
Yeah.
Because then you can super poly the Impin and the Ryza and Barrier statue into this dude.
Right.
However, I think it's still going to get run as a Dogmatic of Punishment / Into Your Servant target. Because when he's sent to the graveyard period, you draw 1 card.
/ target for another card we might talk about here in a minute.
Very possibly.
All right.
Overall, it's all right.
Yeah. Next we have Ashura King. This is a rank 3 Earth Warrior Xyz effect monster, 2100 attack, 0 defense. Level 3 or 3 plus level 3 monsters is the materials. While this card has materials, it can attack a number of times each battle phase, up to the number of materials attached to it. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles, it gains 200 attack. When another monster's effect is activated, quick effect, you can detach 1 material from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. You can only use this effect of Ashura King once per turn.
Yeah, so as long as he has material, it keeps infinitely. Well, no, he just keeps infinitely getting bigger and bigger. It's just with more materials, he can do it faster.
Right.
Because he gets more attacks.
Right.
Plus, he's a monster negate.
This feels like a really good card.
I know, right? Like I think the only thing keeping it back is that it requires minimum of 3 level 3s. I think that's literally the only thing keeping it back.
I don't think that's the hardest thing to accomplish these days.
It really isn't. But even then, it's less that it's hard. It's more harder, difficult, and more that it's kind of annoying.
Right.
You know, especially if you're just making them for the monster negate.
Yeah, for sure.
Next up, we have Ultimate Slayer, which is the TCG name for a card we talked about before, Artemis Slay.
Yes.
Normal spell, your opponent can activate monster effects in response to this card activation. Send a monster card from your deck to your graveyard, then target 1 monster your opponent controls with the same card type, Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, Pendulum, or Link, shuffle it into the deck. So, if you're facing up against, let's say, the Tearlaments deck, which is a Fusion deck,
yes,
Artemis Slay, send Garura.
Well, no, Ultimate Slayer.
Yes, Ultimate Slayer.
Not Artemis Slay anymore.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's Ultimate Slayer and TCG. Anyway, so you can activate this card, send a Garura, bounce 1 of your opponent's fusions, and then draw a card off of Garura.
I don't like the name change here.
Neither do I, because there was a pun in Artemis Slay.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Ultimate Slayer, I guess, is the closest thing they could probably get.
I mean, they could have just said Artemis Slay and been done with it.
Fair, because then it still has that concept of Artemis, because, well, that, the
right.
goddess of archery from Greek mythology, I want to say?
Yes. Because that's the sister of Apollo.
Yeah, that's going to bug me now.
Who in Apollo in Roman mythology was Mercury?
No, maybe?
I want to say that...
Okay, Artemis is the goddess of wild animals, the hunt, vegetation, chastity, and childbirth.
And...
her Roman name is Diana.
Okay.
Yeah, she is the daughter of Zeus and Leto, and the twin sister of Apollo.
Who isn't a son or daughter of Zeus?
Don't
answer that. I know there's a few, but it's a long list of ones that are.
No. That was me going, oh, who isn't? Percy Jackson?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Poseidon and Hades. That's most of the list.
Well, no, not even Hades, because
Hades is not a son of Zeus.
Yeah. Well, actually, a good chunk of the original pantheon, which is Zeus, Poseidon, Hades.
Hephaestus?
No, Hephaestus is his kid. Hera was the other one.
Oh.
Hera's his sister.
What about
and his wife?
Aphrodite?
Aphrodite was born of sea foam. I am not going any further back to explain that on this show.
Okay. No, I'm fine with it. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, but there's a painting, a classic painting of her coming out of the ocean on a clam.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's a classic Top Cut podcast.
Tangent.
Tangent. Yeah.
To be fair, at least this tangent was like thematic, because we're talking about card stuff. Anyway, moving on. Counter Trap.
All right. Next we have Draco Utopian Aura,
Which I just want to say the artwork on this card is pretty awesome.
See, to me, it's lackluster.
I really like this kind of heroic.
This is going to be the most disappointing secret to pull in the entire set.
Oh yeah, definitely.
When your opponent, that said, it's actually not a bad card. When your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Then you can apply the following effect. Banish one monster from your hand, and if you do, special summon the monster that was destroyed and sent to the graveyard by this effect to your field, but negate its effect.
That's actually a very solid card.
Yeah, it's really not a terrible card. You can only activate one Draco Utopian Aura per turn.
I mean, it could have been...
My thing is I would rather strike.
Yeah. Well, because with Solemn Strike, you can hit any monster effect, period.
Right, not just ones on the field.
Correct. However, this also lets you steal it.
Yeah, but you have to banish a monster from your hand to do it.
Again, that's also fair.
It's a niche list of decks that are going to be able to play this effectively.
You know what deck will play this incredibly effectively? Thunder Dragons.
In theory, yes, they could if it wasn't like an FTK deck.
Yeah, but like Thunder Dragon control possibility now.
Honestly, maybe this is you're not wrong. This is a cool tech.
Okay. Lastly, we have Krikara Divine Carnate. One word. Divine Carnate.
Like Divine Incarnate.
Yeah.
But instead of... You get it.
It's a level 1.
You'll see it when you get depressed because you pulled it as a secret rare.
It's a level 1 Fire Fairy effect monster. 1500 attack and defense. Cannot be normal summon or set. Must be special summoned from your hand by attributing all face-up monsters on the field to activate their effects this turn in your opponent's monster zones. Gains 15 attack for each monster attributed to special summon this card. During your end phase, you can target one monster your opponent's graveyard. Special summon it to your field. You can only use this effect once per turn.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's a worse kaiju, because you have to wait for your opponent to activate the monster effects on field.
Yes.
And then you can tribute. I'd rather just tribute them immediately. You know what I mean?
Right. It's like, okay, I'm going to wait for my opponent to activate all their monster effects, and then...
Or at least...
do it.
Or at least get all of their, Well, theoretically, if they activate Dolka, you can just... Like, something that has that can be negate multiple times in turn, you can just tribute over the... After it's activated its effect once.
True.
But again... You could also just Kaiju, Lava Golem, or...
Right.
And get rid of them before they even activate their effects to begin with.
Dark Ruler No More, even?
Yeah, Forbidden Droplet.
Yeah.
Get them before they even activate their effects to begin with.
Yeah, I'd rather not give my opponent the opportunity to activate a bunch of monster effects.
That being said, as soon as she hits the field, she's a level 1 with 3,000 attack.
Minimum. Yeah.
Which is beefy.
Yeah, this card's going to be a few dollars, just because it's a waifu.
It looks cool.
It looks nice. It looks good.
It'll just be
The dragons are very cool. It's going to be a very, very pretty card.
Hmm?
Like, the dragon, the two dragons with the whole waifu thing going on, all the flames, that secret rare.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be gorgeous.
That's one dragon. I'm sorry. I saw his claw up here in the other corner and it looked kind of like another head, like those two dragons.
Oh, yeah, now that I've actually like zoomed in on it a little bit, yeah.
I had to zoom way in on it.
I didn't zoom in very much.
Yeah.
But I'm also on a phone, so...
Yeah, this is a very cool card.
Oh, yeah.
It's not good, but it's cool.
Yeah. Now in the future, there might be a use for it if there's ever a deck that, like, as soon as you're... Actually, I know exactly one instance where this is kind of stupid. Against Flu.
Yeah, against Flu it'd be funny because you tribute all their monsters away, and then...
Well, because you attempt to make a move, and then they start kind of doing stuff. But then they have Barrier Statue out, so you can't summon this thing anyway.
Oh, that's true, because this is fire.
So you have to negate the Barrier Statue, but then you can just tribute off everything they left on the field, because everything's normal summoned and activated its effect at this point.
Yeah. Interesting.
But even then, that's like a niche use case. It's not even great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Overall, these free agents are kind of mid. Some of them are really cool and they have like really uses. I think Garura is like the best. Artemis Slay and Garura are probably the two best.
I think Ultimate Slayer, not Artemis Slay,
Yeah,
Ultimate Slayer. I don't want to confuse people when they go to their
Yeah,
card shop
yeah.
and like,
Looking for it.
yeah, and they're like, "Where's Artemis Slay?" And everybody's like, "I don't have that, but I have this Ultimate Slayer. That card sucks. I need Artemis Slay."
Yeah.
So I think Ultimate Slayer and Ashura King are the best.
Yeah. For me, like I said, it's Ultimate Slayer and Garura.
Yes.
Garura, though, only because of if it's into the graveyard for any reason.
Draw a card.
Draw a card.
And see, for me, it's Ashura King's
It's
quick effect, negate, and destroy.
Yeah, it's a rank 3 monster negate.
Right, which is rare. The closest thing we have, I think, right now is Bamboozle and Gossip Shadow.
I love Gossip Shadow. He's great.
That is a funny card. All right, so let's cover just a few more general things about the actual Power of the Elements set.
Okay.
Because there's a few things that we know about it that can help us kind of gauge how we think that this set will impact the game.
Fair enough. First off, sprites are really powerful. But there's a lot of cards that are just kind of floating around that really shut the deck down. I can immediately think of 3 cards that just immediately kill. As soon as it's flipped, they don't have an out. That's it. They're done.
Sure.
Stygian Dirge, which I found a playset of in my bulk. It reduces all the levels of all monsters on the field by 1.
Yes, it does. That is harmful.
Yeah. And the Band Played On, where you can't summon a monster that you already have the same level of. But
Which
I know.
Reminds me, I need to go looking for both of these cards in my bulk.
Yeah, I found 1 copy of my bulk. The issue with And the Band Played On is there's a lot of decks that are also shut off by it.
Right.
Like Sword Soul can't utilize Moyi or Taiye at all as long as And the Band Played On is on the field because they can't get the token.
Right.
Let's see, and then the other one was Mischief of the Gnomes.
Okay.
Which is when you activate it, all monsters in the hands levels reduced by 1.
I just thought about how Sword Soul plays under Stygian Dirge.
Yeah, they use how do they?
Long Yon and the token under Stygian Dirge lets them synchro summon into an 8 instead of a 10.
Oh, because he's level 6.
Yeah, so he'll be 5, and then the token would be 3.
Yeah. Okay, so on flip,
So
almost.
then you can use those to make a Baxia.
Yeah,
and shuffle it back.
Anyway, so what was I talking about? Mischief of the Gnomes. So it's a normal trap. On activation, all monsters in the hands levels get reduced by 1.
Sure.
Until the end of this turn, even if they're summoned. So it's Stygian Dirge, but it has counterplay against spell trap pops.
Right.
And then you can also banish from your graveyard to do the same effect again.
So Splight, we can agree though, will be not just tier 1, but high tier 1. Like it's gonna be one of the best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Immediately upon release.
Yes, with literally with very minimal investment from other sources, the deck as it's coming out in Power of the Elements is incredibly strong.
Yes.
Even in and of itself, because as summon 3, you can stop your opponent from being able to activate Nibiru at all.
Right. Which is very powerful.
Yeah, but that's if you literally go straight into it, and then you're not really pumping out too oppressive a board, because then you'll have Giant, I think is what his name is in the TCG, and then you can summon Toad. Totally awesome, and then that's it. If you go that route.
Right.
Usually, though, the Giant will be coming out as probably summon 4 or 5.
I don't know exactly all of the combo lines. I'll have to go... I glanced through a...
Yeah,
I glanced through it.
I started out like months ago.
Right. I need to review all the combo lines. I think tier elements are also going to be very, very good, just not right away.
Now they also have they require a lot more secondary stuff than Splite does, in that they run like Squamata and Beast.
I was gonna say a Shadal package.
Very small. It's literally just Squamata, Beast, and Winda in the extra deck. That's it.
Yes.
They also run some Albaz stuff, like 1 copy of Fallen of Albaz, 3 of the fusion of Branded Fusion. Thank you. I almost called it Albaz Fusion.
May as well be.
Yeah, might as well be. And then a couple, like 1 or 2 cards here and there. I actually looked at a popular build over in the OCG for Tearlaments, and I actually just kind of accidentally have the entire build just lying around.
Except for the actual Tearlaments stuff.
For the actual Tearlaments stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. I guess I'm going to try and build that then.
It's a cool build. That's the Albaz build, right?
Yeah. And literally the only non-Tearlament stuff is like, monster-wise, is 1 copy of Fallen of Albaz, and then Beast and Squamata.
Right.
And then from there, because it's just a generic fusion deck.
Right.
I say generic fusion deck. They prefer to fuse with themselves, but they can fuse with other things should they need to.
So you have Tearlaments, you have Sprite, you've got the free agent cards that we've talked about. Overall, how do we feel about the set 1 to 10?
I'd give it a solid 8, because this is really going to like shake up the meta. But then there's also a lot of power in some of the cards that come out in this set that aren't going to be good initially.
Right.
But they're so generic, they have a lot of potential, such as the forgot the name of the archetype. The Earth Fairies that you can discard.
Vernalizer.
Yes, the Vernalizer Fairies have a lot of potential.
Are those in Power of the Elements?
I remember them being in Power of the Elements. Let me double check that. If they are, like I said, they have...
I don't really remember hearing anything about them in
because
all the TCG release stuff.
Well, because everyone's focused on Sprites and Tearlaments.
That's fair. So,
Vernalizer Fairy.
overall, I'd give this set a 9 out of 10 on power level and things like that.
Yes, Vernalizer Fairies and archetype of Earth Fairies introduced the Power of the Elements.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, like I said, that archetype by itself is going to be real cheap, but it's also going to have a lot of power because it's just generic Earth support that just happens to also be Earth Fairy.
Right. Absolutely.
Particularly whenever the duck comes out next set.
The duck? There's a duck?
Yeah, in the next set.
Quack, quack, let's go!
And it's broken! Jesus Christ, it's ridiculous!
Gotta love to see it. All right, so you want to get on into the next segment?
Yeah, boy! Before we do, though.
Sure. Let's take a quick moment to do an ad break.
Oh, yeah.
So, a huge thank you to our sponsor, ETB Games in Alexandria, Louisiana. ETB Games is your one-stop shop for all of your card game needs. They have singles and sealed product, deck boxes, sleeves, playmats, binders, and whatever else you need for all the card games that you love, like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Digimon, and many more. Also, if you're interested in tabletop role-playing games, they have all of your figurines, the paint for them, the dice, the books, the mats, everything that you need for all of that. So, if you're interested in a wonderful place to come in, check it out, hang out, grab some cards, grab some tabletop stuff, just hang out with friends, be sure to check out ETB Games in Alexandria, Louisiana. Their link is in the description down below. So, with all of that said, let's move on into our next segment. We want to take some time to kind of gauge how we feel about comparing different cards within the format. We don't have a name for this segment yet.
We'll probably come up with one like in the middle of the segment.
Right. But basically, what we want to do is we want to take the time to compare and contrast different cards. And
that might serve similar purposes.
Right.
But kind of function differently.
Right.
So then it becomes a case of, do I use this one or do you use this one? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So the first place that I want to start, we've got a list of about half a dozen of them here. And we'll go through and I'll pick one, you pick one, I'll pick one, you pick one. And we'll go through as many as we have time to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go first if that's okay with you.
Go for it.
let's talk about... Let's do Dark Ruler No More versus Forbidden Droplet. So this was the card comparison that brought this whole segment to my mind and made me think about, well, why would somebody run Dark Ruler over Droplet? Besides cost, obviously.
Oh yeah, besides just not having the one card or the other.
Right.
For all of these, assume that's not the case.
Right.
Well, okay, so my immediate thought is the major advantage over that Droplet has over Dark Ruler No More is being a quick play battle trick on top of just negate.
Right. Yeah, Dark Ruler No More is an extremely powerful card without a doubt. But I think that also Forbidden Droplet is good in a format where your opponent is ending on a board of maybe 3 negates, maybe 2 or 3 interruptions. But Dark Ruler No More is more impactful in a format where you're playing against decks that might put up 8 and 10 interruptions.
Yeah, or more, or near infinite. If you're looking at you, Thunderbird, Miss Valley, Apex Avian plus Miss Valley Thunderbird.
Right.
Literally infinite negates.
Right. So, I would say that when you have decks putting up quote-unquote FTK boards, that you might have 4 monsters on their board that you need to negate, then...
Instead of like 2.
Right. So, a good example of this, I would say... When Drytron was at the peak of its power.
Yes, they would pump out...
Well, you would have to negate the Herald of Perfection or Ultimateness, whatever.
Yeah.
You would also have to negate Beatrice.
Yep, and then you'd also have to negate...
They usually had something else. I don't remember what.
Neither do I. It's been a while since I've looked at Drytron.
Right. IP Masquerena, maybe?
Yeah. But then you just kind of go, cool, Dark Ruler No More. Now I only have to deal with the 2 Heralds in hand.
Right. Or 1 Herald, 1 Evo, whatever it would be.
Yeah.
Then, when you look at... Another one that comes to mind is Bird Up.
Yes.
From early this year or late last year.
Yeah, where they'd pump out like an Utopic Draco Future.
Right. Appaloosa with like 3 or 4 negates.
Yeah, plus the Lyrilusk Ensemble Blue Robin for bouncing.
Right.
That couldn't be targeted and was unaffected by monster effects because of the Simorg. The Simorg that's going, if you don't out it, it's going to bring out another winged beast.
Plus the barrier statue on top of all of it.
Yeah, if they summon the barrier statue off of the Simorg.
Right. There, you literally had 4 to 5 monsters on their field that needed to be negated to
Plus
play.
whatever hand traps they had in their hand.
Right. So Dark Ruler No More to me was a lot more effective in that format because of the sheer volume of things that end boards would have that you'd have to negate.
Yeah. Now another thing that Droplet has over Dark Ruler No More is that you can make your Droplet immune to non-monster. Well, you can make your Droplet immune to spell trap negates.
Right, absolutely.
Dark Ruler No More is immune to monster spell trap negates. Stuff like Borreload Savage.
Right. Baron.
Baron de Fleur.
Things like that. But it's not immune to something like Solemn Judgment per se.
Yeah. Whereas a Droplet, if you can predict what your opponent's got, you discard the same type and boom, it's immune to it.
Right. Also, Droplet gives you a little bit more versatility. In a format where there's a lot of decks that may have maybe 1 or 2 cards that I want to negate, or a format where Artifact Scythe is prevalent, Droplet's going to be way better. Yeah, because it's a quick play. So as soon as that... So you can, in response to their the activation of their effects, boom, not Dark Ruler, Droplet. Right. I was looking at copy of Dark Ruler No More, is why I said it. Also, something else that can be done is if you activate a card or effect. For example, one time I had my Chi-Shao face up on the board. And I think I had Chi-Shao, and Baron. My opponent normal summoned Oviraptor. Activate effect. I said Chi negate. He's chained Forbidden Droplet.
Ooh.
Sent his Oviraptor, negated my Baron.
And
because it targets.
Oh,
Chi targets.
I keep forgetting Chi target. Yeah. So protected it. So protected the OV from the Chi while also negating Baron.
Right.
For 1 discard instead of 2.
No discards because Droplet can send from the field.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what I mean by discard.
Yeah. 1 send to the graveyard.
Yeah. So So you can do a lot of messing around with that, which is hilarious.
Right. So
no wonder it's a 100 and whatever dollar card right now.
Droplet?
Yeah.
50.
Really?
$50. It just got reprinted in the water set.
I completely forgot.
And it's going to get reprinted again in the Mega Tins.
Yeah, they're really trying to make sure that they're really trying to get that card price down because it was like $100 not too long, over $100 not too long ago.
I think it peaked at 140.
Jesus.
Yes, that's where I sold mine.
Yeah. Smart.
Right.
Well, to be fair, a lot of people who we talked to who were thinking about selling them, we told them to just do it and hold that money
and just buy them again when they get reprinted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that card's been out for 2 years now. Is that crazy?
Yeah, and it's just now, and it's gotten, well, what is this now? 3 reasonable reprints back to back to back.
So it has 3 reprints total.
Okay, so 2 reasonable back to back, and then you're about to have a third one.
Right.
Because the first reprint was the ulti.
Well, the second reprint was a short print secret in a side set.
Oh.
Brothers of Legend, it was short printed.
Okay.
Overall, I think Droplet is a better and more versatile card. It can also be activated in the damage step, which is cool.
Yeah. As I said before, as a battle trick to cut your opponent's monster's attacks in half.
I think that Droplet is a very cool card, and it's got way more purposes. I think it's a more powerful card.
But there are use cases
where Dark Ruler's better.
Yeah, it's just in this upcoming format that we're going into, I think Droplet's better.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yes, they Tearlaments and Sprite will be able to put out these really oppressive boards, but they're only 1 or 2 monsters.
I think we have time for 2 more. What you got?
Okay, next up, I was going to say let's do Veiler and Chalice.
Okay, cool. So this is a 3-fer.
Yeah. So Effect Veiler is a hand trap where you discard from your hand during your opponent's main phase. Quick effect, negate.
Okay.
Infinite impermanence. If you control no cards, you can do the same thing.
Okay.
Only you can do it during any phase.
Because
you control no monster, you can just discard it and boom. Well, not discard, but you can activate it straight from your hand.
Because it is
Because it's a trap card, yeah.
Okay.
And then...
You didn't say it was a trap card.
Yes. And then Chalice is a quick play spell that gives them 400 attack, but then also negates their effects.
Right.
So all 3 of these cards sound almost the exact same.
Yes, they do.
But there are use cases for each individual one. For instance, if you're going second, Veiler and Imperm are both equally powerful.
Veiler and Chalice. Chalice is better going second.
Well...
Yes.
Well, during the first turn to try and stop your opponent, specifically during turn 0.
Then Veiler and Imperm would be better.
Yeah. I haven't even gotten into turn 2 yet.
Oh, you said on turn 2.
Yeah, which is...
Or you said going second.
Yeah. So turn 2 of the duel would be your first turn. So literally turn 0, your opponent's going first. Okay? Veiler and Imperm are both very powerful. However, once you hit your first turn and if you didn't Veiler, the Veiler is now just sitting in your hand useless. Because you only activate it during your opponent's main phase. However, with the Imperm, you can just immediately discard it. Not discard it. Crap. I keep thinking it's a hand trap because you activate it from your hand.
Right.
Yeah, so you can activate it from your hand, just immediately negate something.
So, but Imperm also has another use.
Yes, if you set it and activate it, any spell or trap activated in that column also gets negated.
Yeah, I remember at a case tournament one time, I ended a dude's whole career because I made just a standard board Chi Baron pass.
With the set Imperm, obviously.
Yes. He normal summoned a monster, activated effect. I impermed. He said, oh, okay. Then he did something else, and I said, Chi Shao negate. He said, triple tactics talent. Steal your Baron.
In the imperm column?
And I go, oh, buddy, that's rough. He was like, yeah. And he reached over, and I was like, no. Call an ambulance, but not for me. No, that's rough for you. That's the imperm column. And he was like, oh, it is. Picked up all his cards and went straight to game 2.
Yeah, because
it was a 3v3. He looked straight over at his teammate. He was like, I just activated talents in the imperm column. His opponent looked at his hand, looked at the board state, and went,
game 2.
Good luck in game 2.
Yeah. I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, because that was a 3v3 that we were playing together.
Because I was in the middle.
Yep, you were playing against Prank Kids.
Yeah, so like I literally saw my opponent kind of lean over and look and go, good luck in game 2. And I was like, what? And I looked over and saw the imperm sitting on top of Sunny's grave and just kind of was able to piece together what happened.
Yeah. It's so hard not to smile. I know it sounds terrible, but when you activate imperm, like you set imperm in the middle column on purpose, just to fake out your opponent, right?
Yeah.
Or just to because everybody activates cards in their middle column without even thinking about it.
If there isn't already something filling that column.
Right. So when you activate imperm, resolve it, and it goes to the graveyard, they just go to activating things in their middle column.
Yep.
And they don't even think about it, which I respect. I get that. It's happened to me.
I've done it plenty of times.
I've done it more times than I can count. I'm not perfect.
We never said we were, at least.
Right. But when your opponent activates something in that imperm column, it's like Christmas. And it's so hard not to smile because you don't want to be like that guy. You don't want to be a jerk. But it's satisfying.
Oh, yeah. Now moving on to the third card, though, Chalice.
Yes.
Going first, it's... I'd say going first, it's equal to the other two. Because you can set it, because it's a quick play spell.
Right.
And then it'll serve the exact same purpose as Imperm and Veiler.
Right.
However, if you're going second and you start your first turn, it also serves the same purpose as Imperm of just activate to negate something.
Right.
Also, it's a battle trick.
Right.
You're going to be doing the damage step. To give either your monster an extra 400 attack or to negate one of your opponent's monster's damage step shenanigans.
So the use caseage for Chalice is if your opponent has an established board and your deck is normal summon reliant, Chalice is actually a very great card.
Truth be told, in that exact situation to where if your deck needs to function, has to have that normal summon go off to function, I'd even consider running Imperm and Chalice. I'd consider it.
Yes.
Depending upon what other cards I have access to.
A great example of Sword Soul. Chalice is an amazing card in Sword Soul because when your opponent activates Token Collector, they summon it, and then it activates its effect on field to summon. If you already have a monster on your board, you cannot activate Imperm which you will have a monster on your board. So you cannot activate an Imperm, so you have to use either Chalice or if you have something like Droplet. You have to use a quick play negate. Veiler can't do it because it's not your opponent's.
Yeah.
It's your turn, not your opponent's. Veiler can only be used during your opponent's main phase. And Imperm can't be activated if their monster's not on the field yet. So in stickier board states where your opponent's interruptions come from other places, then Chalice can be better. So against a deck like Based is a great example, or the Punk Adventure deck, right? A lot of times they'll end with a Snow or a Token Collector in their graveyard, sent off Shooting Riser. So if they use Snow in their graveyard, they banish 7, they summon. When it summons, it activates its effect to Book of Moon a monster on your field. You chain Chalice. So against decks that have these more varied interruptions, Chalice is actually a better card. So if you're thinking about what hurts you and your deck, sometimes Chalice is the best counter to your counters, if that makes sense.
Gotta have them counters.
Right. For example, I just got chaliced in our remote duel locals that we host every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I was playing in the locals because I just happened to get home from work in time for once. And my opponent, I activate anti-spell fragrance in the draw phase. My opponent chains Twin Twister. Discards a card. I chain Baron to negate. They chain Forbidden Chalice to negate my Baron.
Yup. Yeah, that Baron's at 3,400, but who cares? It's my turn, and that attack buff goes away at the end of the turn.
Exactly. So it was an interesting scenario where right there, Chalice is a lot better. Chalice is better for breaking boards and answering the things that your opponent does. So
yeah,
just my thought.
Now, another thing that Forbidden Chalice has above Impermanent Effect Veiler, they're like $1.25.
It is a very cheap card.
Yep. I mean, Effect Veilers, from what I remember, are fairly cheap. I'm looking it up right now.
I think they're like $2-3 because it just got reprinted in the structure deck.
Yeah. Which is why I'm saying. Yeah, $1.25 for the new one.
Right.
Yeah, so, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, Veiler and Chalice, both incredibly cheap. Like, hold on, how much is it for a playset of both? 125 times 6 is
$9.
Yeah, like 9.
Ish.
So yeah, $9. You get 6 cards.
Yes.
6 very powerful cards that you'll use.
$7.50 plus tax. So yeah.
Yeah. Plus shipping. Blah blah blah.
Right.
So like,
and they've been reprinted a ton of times in a bunch of different rarities, so you really have your options.
Oh yeah. Like, okay, hold on. So you have the common from the Alabaster Structure deck for Effect Veiler, and then like the next cheapest one is another common, and there's another common. But then there's like an ultra for $275.
Right. Let's talk about MST versus Cosmic versus Twin.
Because there are use cases for Mystical Space Typhoon.
Yes, there are. So, I think that it would be better if we talk about Cosmic and Twin first and come back to MST.
Because those are the two that most 99% of the people are going to be using.
Right. So, I would say that, in my opinion, Twin is most of the time the better card.
Because you're hitting 2 for the cost of 2.
But it depends on your deck.
Not only that, it also depends on the format.
Yes, it does. I think right now, especially, Twin is better. When you have so many people playing so many floodgates, you want to be able to hit potentially hit multiple floodgates. Oh yeah,
because the worst thing in the world is your opponent setting 3 pass, them flipping 1 floodgate, you Cosmic Cycle, and them flipping another copy of the exact same floodgate.
Right.
Or a different floodgate.
Yes. So, the thing about it is, for those that played way back in the day, MST was really your only viable option as far as
it was the only spot spell trap move for the longest time.
The only playable one.
Yeah, because all the rest of them were like pay 1,000 life points to destroy a face up spell card.
500 spell or trap face up. It's Twister.
Yeah,
just Twister.
Yeah, and then there was Cosmic Typhoon, which didn't even pop spells or traps. It detached from exceeds monsters for some reason.
Dice Typhoon. Yeah,
where you roll a dice and it pops that zone.
It's not that it pops that zone, but it definitely does pop. It does something based on the die roll, but Dice Foon. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was Tornado, which returned like 1 spell or trap to the hand.
Yeah, the point is,
if I'm remembering correctly,
and I don't even think it was quick play. The point is, there's not a ton of really good quick play spell trap spot removal.
And then even if you wanted to just go the nuclear option and do AoE, Heavy Storm is banned, and Harpy's Feather Duster is a 1.
And Truenade's banned.
is banned.
So, you're looking at MST, Cosmic, Twin. Those are your options. Realistically. I guess we could always throw Harpy's Feather Duster in here too, but...
Well, no, because it's not a quick play.
Yeah, but that's the difference, right? That's the key.
Yeah, it's Harpy's Feather Duster is an AoE for no cost, but it's a quick play. It's not quick play, it's a normal spell.
Exactly. So Twin has the cost of you have to discard 1 card, but you get 2 out. You get to pop 2 out of it.
And then sometimes off that discard, you can get other effects going off as well.
Correct. So in the
Actually, the great example is Eldritch discarding one of their
traps.
Discarding one of their trap monsters, activate effect to set Scarlet's Gangrene,
Right.
blah, 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 blah.
Exactly. So you don't want to use it in decks that are not going to be the best going to the graveyard. So, for example, I would never use Twin Twisters in a deck like Dark World, where they need to be discarded as card effect.
Not cost.
Right.
Dangers get their effects off being discarded for cost, right?
I don't think they do.
No.
Also, the Despia cards that need to be sent to the graveyard, they can't be sent as cost.
Yes, because it's weird what can and can't. Once you read a bunch of effects, you kind of start figuring out just by reading it. I don't have any dangers to read right in front of me, so I'm just gonna.
Right.
For now, I'm just gonna say that they don't either. But sometimes cards do get will still get their effects off, even if they're sent for cost.
Yes. It's rare, but some will.
But then, of course, you could always also send stuff like that have effects engraved normally.
Right.
For instance, Token Collector. Is the first one comes off my
Fairy Tale Snow.
Yeah, Fairy Tale Snow. You can just go, cool, I don't need these in my hand. Discard!
Right. So,
Sinister Serpent.
or even the Tenyi Spirits.
Yeah, because they get effects off engrave.
Right. So, but if your deck doesn't really benefit from putting certain cards in the graveyard, I would recommend Cosmic Cyclone. Yes, it's pay 1,000 life points, but it removes from play. It's a 1-for-1 removal for 1,000 life points, but it removes it from play. So something like your Eldritch cards get removed from play.
Mm-hmm. Which means if they activate Conquistador and you just immediately Cosmic Cyclone it, it doesn't get its effect off, and they don't get to banish it for its graveyard effect.
Exactly.
And also for certain decks that have the ability to recur some of their spells or traps, like Morences recurring Morences Wave.
Right.
If they set it for some reason, and you Cosmic Cyclone that's great because it's gone for good.
Exactly.
Because Morences can recur that wave back to their hand.
They don't even need to set it.
Yeah, they don't have to.
Chain it to the activation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but you're out. Doesn't feel good doing that, though. You know
No,
what I
it
mean?
doesn't feel good, but you handle the problem long term.
Yeah, but it doesn't negate it, so they still get their monster negated.
There are niche cases for MST still being played. If I'm not mistaken, there was something with Sky Striker Area 0 with the way that it could resolve, or maybe it was one of the Cosmo cards. I don't remember. But needless to say that there are some niche cases where MST is a valid option, but the vast majority of the time, either Cosmic Cyclone or Twin Twister.
Or both, if you're crazy.
If you're really desperate for back row removal, maybe.
If you just hate back row decks that much, and you're also already running Harpy's Feather Duster and Red Reboot.
I am already running Duster and Reboot, and I just put Twin in also because there's a lot of floodgates in the game right now.
Oh yeah, no, I've been considering switching from Cosmic to Twin Twister because right now I'm playing Morences, really fun deck. And there's a couple of cards they don't mind going to grave.
Yeah.
A couple of monsters because they get effects off, not immediately but next turn. But then also a lot of the Morences cards also can just return them back to the hand.
Right.
So then it becomes less of an actual cost and more of a I'm just going to put these here. Yeah, they're in DD Crow danger, but they were going to be anyway.
Definitely. All right, we're gonna pick this up another time and go over a few more, maybe next episode.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, you want to go ahead and get on into the mailbag?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. I love covering rogue decks on my podcast. So what are some great rogue decks for this upcoming format?
So I'm a little biased on this one.
By the way, that's the Meta Killer podcast. If anyone's interested, it's another Yu-Gi-Oh podcast.
Yeah, go check them out. Go support them too. I'm a little biased in my opinion on this. Morences.
Morences is good.
Oh yeah, particularly because with their normal combo line, they have a trap-based monster negate in their hand that on activation will also I don't think does Yu-Gi-Oh have a slang term for that? Where like I know Magic does, where it gives all your monsters hexproof.
Hexproof?
They're unaffected by your opponent's card effects.
Yeah, it's called unaffected.
Okay, cool. Makes all your Morensis monsters unaffected.
I don't know. That's not an actual slang term. That's just something that I just said.
Okay. You know what I mean.
They're unaffected by everything.
Yeah. And then in addition to that, their big boss monster, Argo Aquanai, with the field spell, she gets real big real quick. Like on summon, she's minimum of 6, 12, 18, 2K, 4,300.
Wow.
Yep.
Big.
And then for the cost of, because on summon, the Battle Ocean equips her with 3 links, and then she gains 200 attack, and then 600 for each link equipped to her.
Yes.
And then her effects that she can is that whenever your opponent activates a spell or trap, she can special summon one of the links and negate the spell or trap.
Huh. Interesting.
Yep. That is once per turn.
Gigantic Sprite is probably going to be first on the hit list for the deck when it's on the chopping block for a ban list because it summons from the deck. Do you think Konami will just straight up ban it or try limiting it first? Most builds so far seem to be running only 2.
I think they just straight up ban it. If it was under consideration for hit, I think they just straight up ban it.
I think they limit it.
Really?
I think they limit it and ban Toad.
Kind of like what they did in the OCG.
I think that Blight will get hit the same way that Tri-Brigade got hit, and the same way that I think Sword Soul got hit.
Where they kind of ban everything around it.
They will attack the supplementary engines that really make the deck crazy, bring the power ceiling of the deck down to a believable level,
and then if it's still a problem...
And then by this time next year at Nats, it'll be just look at what's happened with Tri-Brigade the year before. Look at what happened with Tri-Brigade last year. They released in November, high power ceiling, best deck of the summer. Right after, the ban list came through, knocked down all the Zodiac cards.
Yeah,
and now they've just released more powerful cards like Sword Soul per se, which yes, I know the timeline of those decks because I've been playing them, but that's why I can say it.
Yeah. And then of course
I know that I'm going back to these decks. What I'm trying to say there is, I know that I'm going back to these decks that I'm playing, but that's because I know the timeline of them because I've been playing them.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
What I meant to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So they nerfed the surrounding Tri-Brigade strategy.
Yeah, and then whenever
Sword Soul came out, it got when Sword Soul came out, Bird Up was a thing for a little while,
and then they limited the Lyrless stuff out of the Bird Up engine.
Exactly, and so Tri-Brigade by this year's Nats was unable to compete. So Sword Soul, if you look at it, was one of the best decks of the current format. And now they're going to hit the supplementary engine to Sword Soul, the Tennies, capitalize on the reprints, and if it's still a problem, they'll hit it again. If it's not, they'll let this power creep it out. So, they're going to do the same thing with Splight coming forward. They're going to hit the Toad engine, let it run rampant for a little while, hit the Toad engine.
And then if it's still an issue, then like, okay, we'll semi-limit Blue, limit Jet, limit this.
Honestly, I don't think they're going to hit Gigantic Sprite at all. I think they're going to go straight for Blue and Starter.
Probably, yeah, because Blue or Starter gets you full combo. From what I remember.
Yeah, I think the deck is going to revolve around 2-card combos, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Where do you see the current meta going with decks like Branded leading currently? I don't even think Branded is the leader.
Not really. Like
Branded's like third.
Yeah, it's not even, and even then, yes, it is third because of its raw power, but it's not third in popularity.
That's probably about third in popularity.
Yeah, about.
I think it was third in overall representation at Nationals.
I thought it was fourth. I'm probably misremembering. I probably got it in something else switched around in my head.
I think 1 was different punk variants and 2 was Sword Soul. I thought Despia was 3.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, the point is it's somewhere in that range.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
regardless, that was not the point of the question. Where do we see the meta going?
Lots of Splight, lots of Tearlament.
Lots of Splight, lots of Tearlament, yeah.
Actually, I'm pretty sure a lot of the Despia players are probably going to shift, are either going to stick with it, or they're going to shift into a Tearlament deck, because Tearlaments are very similar.
Yeah, it's a fusion-based deck.
Yeah. So...
Why do you think Virtual War isn't played as much recently? It's just not as strong as the current decks in the meta, especially with no VFD.
Yeah.
When are we getting Gate Guardian retrains? Hopefully soon in the Speed Duel GX Box 2.
I don't think they'd release a retrain in the Speed Duel stuff.
Shut up. Let me have my dreams.
However,
Let me have my dreams.
However.
Okay.
Not the next set after Darkwing Blast.
Mm-hmm.
There's a possibility there, because we don't know anything about that set.
True. An Arc V archetype that needs legacy support. I don't know. I don't know any Arc V archetypes.
Arc V. That was...
Pendulums.
Pendulum.
Give me more Fluffle support. I think that's Arc V.
Yeah, that is Arc V. Yeah, Pendulum. Yeah. That's when they introduced Fluffles. I remember because in like the third episode, the main character is dueling the Fluffle guy, and he summons Bear, and it just keeps stealing his monsters out of the graveyard. And he's like, "This is annoying."
How are you guys really doing? You know, I'm tired.
Yeah.
You're only allowed to play one format and only one deck in that format. What format and what deck are you picking? Holy.
Oh, that's a rough question.
Man, people are not going to like this. I'm probably going to play... Oh, man, that's such a tough question. That's such a tough question.
It's the one deck part that's really...
Right. I might honestly go... You know, I think I go around... So, Fire Water format, which is right...
Yeah, Fire Fist,
Mermail, and Geargia was also a thing. So the Karakura Geargia deck that was in either, I think it was actually late
that
20,
was
mid or like spring of 2014, I think. Or,
yes, I remember that. That was full power Fire King. That's when I would play, and it'd be full power Fire King, so then I could afford the Wolf Barks.
Yeah. It was spring 2014. Yeah, because that was full power Geargia. Oh, that deck was so fun.
Oh yeah, so was Fire Kings.
If you're able to make it to a final, regionals, YCS, nationals, LCS, whatever, or make it to a finals in one of those, what famous YouTuber or pro player would you want to face against and why? For skill or for what? Let me play against Pac just so that I can have the funny banter the entire time.
I'm kind of tied between Pac and Callie and Callie effect for the exact same reason.
Totally fair.
For the banter.
Absolutely. Favorite Pokemon? Salamence. I knew this was going to get a reaction out of you. And I didn't give you any prep time, which is even funnier.
Oh my god, I can't pick one.
Is that your answer?
I can't pick one, but I'll give a top 5.
What? Okay, that wasn't the question, but okay.
In no particular order, Dragonite, Kangaskhan, Tyranitar, Aggron, and Lopunny.
Get yourself an MF and Aggron.
Yeah, Aggron's great.
All right, favorite Yu-Gi-Oh deck to play. How did the deck strategy change over time, and are there any text or combos that were discovered that changed the way you saw the deck's playstyle? Dude, I love Tri-Brigade. I love it so much. I just do. I love Tri-Brigade. It changed over time. It went from Zodiac to Bird Up, and text or combos that were discovered that changed the way you saw the deck's playstyle. It went from being a funny, gimmicky deck to being the best deck in the game. And everybody realized that it was... And then it went from being a mid-rangey deck to being a full-blown build-a-board combo deck. And that kind of change in playstyle is insane to me.
Pass.
Fair enough. Why should Trident be unbanned? Why should Trident be unbanned? Because it's fine at 1. Come on.
Listen, back when it was at 1 and I wasn't playing the deck, I just kind of went, eh.
Who controls the aux cord and what are you listening to on the way to locals? Honestly, Sirius XM in my car controls it, and I just listen to the BPM network because I just like beats. I don't even listen to the actual music. I just want the beats.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sunny becoming a floodgate by denying that Appaloosa is a floodgate all the time. I am continuously denying Appaloosa's floodgate.
I guess that does technically make you a floodgate.
Because I'm doing it continuously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Single best generic card to play in the current meta? Probably Forbidden Droplet.
Yeah.
So, do you have a Yu-Gi-Oh! Waifu? We talked about this last episode, I think.
Kind of? But we didn't say specifically who it was.
Cosmo Farm Girl.
Cosmo Farm Girl!
Don't judge me.
Oh, boy. It's actually tough for me because there's a lot of good options. If I had to pick one,
I'm here.
I'm going to go Yu-Gi Boomer Classic and say Harpy Lady.
I respect it. I respect that.
If it had to be a modern card, probably House Dragon Maid.
I respect that too, if I'm being honest with you.
Wait, not House. Chamber. I got the two mixed up.
I respect that more than House. Okay.
For obvious reasons.
What archetype do you wish got more support? Geargia.
Fire King.
Fire King got a whole structure deck worth of support.
Yeah, but it was... Well, no, that's how they were introduced.
That's how they got... Was it a structure deck? I think they got a second structure deck in like 2016.
No.
They got a whole second wave of support while we were not in the game.
Yeah, they did, but it was a field spell and
a couple of other monsters.
It was Ganesha.
I mean, they were much. It was a very good field spell.
Oh yeah. But then they also got a subpar monster.
The point is Geargia.
Yes, I agree. Geargia needs a card that lets you like set like armor
and then activate it
and
4 times in one turn
and then flip it.
Yeah, a way to abuse armor and the fact that armor is not once per turn. Our accelerator special summon is not once per turn. Gear Gigant X is not once per turn.
Yeah,
none of them are once per turn.
Actually, really, all they really need is a way to abuse armor
Yeah, if I had a way to flip and activate armor 3 or 4 times in a turn, oh, let's go. Monsters from unplayable archetypes that have insane effects. Honestly, I can't think of any off the top of my head just because I don't think of unplayable archetypes that often.
I have one.
Oh, actually I do. Madolche Queen Tiramisu is one of the best rank 4s in the game. Don't tell me that was yours.
That was mine.
How is that yours? You love Madolche. That deck is
do.
not unplayable. I was saying that to upset you, and then you're like, that was mine.
Yeah, but Madolche Queen Tiramisu is probably, if not the best, is easily one of the top 5 best rank 4s in the game.
Just saying something.
Non-targeting, shuffle 2 cards back to the deck. If your monster isn't immune to monster effects, it's getting shuffled back.
It's like Baxia, but it doesn't target.
Well, it does, but it doesn't target the monsters. It targets the...
Is it only monsters or is it cards?
It's cards.
Yeah, because Baxia has cards.
Yeah. But it targets the stuff in the graveyard to shuffle back.
Right.
That's all it targets. It doesn't target the cards on the field it shuffles back.
Right.
It's just 9 times out of 10, I always just pick monsters.
All right, so that will wrap it up for today's episode of the podcast. As always, be sure to check out our Patreon, our TCG Player, and Dragon Shield affiliate links, as well as checking out Millennium Threads, check out ETB Games, check out Team Dark Arm Dealings. All of those links are in the description down below. And of course, we want to tell all of you to have a wonderful weekend.
Take care, everybody.